There was an argument going around on Twitter on Sunday because the biggest thing going on Twitter over the weekend was Sydney Sweeney and her appearance on Saturday Night Live, and you can think of two very big reasons why that would be. But the discussion that was being had here, thank you, the discussion that was being had here was, did Sydney Sweeney single-handedly bring an end to wokeness? So here's what Richard said on Twitter. He said, wokeness is dead, with that screenshot. You can imagine that people love that. And then a gentleman named Ben Dreyfus says, conservatives keep trying to change the game here, okay? Libs never said women can't show cleavage. We are the people who are supportive of women owning their sexuality, okay? We invented that.
True.
Here's the difference. No, wait. The difference is, I think... but I'm not gonna make this a conservative and liberal thing because I think it's that they enjoy the aura of what she represents,
which is,
and she represents like a stunning woman, and there's a difference. Like a stunning woman is like one that enters and we were talking about a friend of mine who's a looker, and like he was the equivalent for men, but it's like she enters the room. And she's captivating. And it's because she looks like art. Plain and simple, it's natural, she looks like art. Like, what do you want me to say? And I think that the people that are like conservative minded like that. They like the celebration of beauty and blah blah. Versus the liberals are talking about the sexuality. I'm like, while she naturally as a beautiful woman is like inherently sexual, I feel that people that are watching her and feel like enamored by her is by the overall thing and not as like the dirty, like, oh my God, I'm so aroused. You know what I mean?
We missed a $20 super chat here from Kyle Dixon. Says, you can be facetious and honest, but not sincere and facetious.
Dude, you are really blowing my mind today. Facetious.
Okay, so this is what.
All right, back to the boobs.
Somebody else said, men don't only like Sydney Sweeney for her boobs. They like her because she's the first starlet in a long time to unrepentantly and cheerfully chase the male gaze. She is clearly giving permission to ogle her and enjoying that feminine power. An oasis for men in a nut vice culture. I enjoyed that. There is an aspect to this where when Sydney Sweeney was on the red carpet for Madam Web, they were talking about the idea that, like, look, when you put these women in movies, they have to button them up. They have to either make them ugly or dress them down in a fashion that hides their beauty. But then when they walk the red carpet at these events, they are more than happy to dress in risque fashions with things that, you know, in a lot of ways show off, you know, their assets, right? So there is a bit of a conundrum there. It's like, why is it okay for you to do it in your private life, but somehow when you try to do it in a movie, they get a free one. Okay, why is it okay when it's in a movie? Why is it okay in your private life, but why is it not okay when it's in a movie?
Okay, I think it's okay in both.
No, I agree, but I'm saying, why is it that the people that are arguing about it are saying one is okay, but one is not?
Because,
I don't know.
I think I have a theory why. Because they want to cover all the bases, right? So they want frumpy women to attend their movies, and they don't want to piss them off. They don't want them to go and see this gorgeous woman and be like, oh, I didn't like that movie. Because women are jealous and petty. They won't like something because the girl is hot.
I think they want me, a man, to have the reaction that I do to her, to their frumpy, disgusting shit.
Yeah, they want you.
And
they want
I will not.
They're trying to suck off you.
And I will not. And I refuse. And forever.
Well, that's a lot of the like relativism that's crept into the culture, right? It's like when we were talking about the there was like the Miss Germany awards this year.
Ugly
bitch. It was like a 40-looking woman. It's like
ugly bitch.
Look, there's nothing wrong with if she's married.
We want you to be honest.
If that woman is married and her husband says that she's beautiful, that's fine.
Lying.
But that does not mean that there shouldn't be like objective standards that are set for these types of things in the real world. Like when they make competitions out of it, or when you're going to show somebody on Saturday Night Live. You cannot put Lizzo next to Sydney Sweeney and pretend like what you're looking at is the same thing. It's in a complete denial of objective reality.
Yes, I do. Okay, so there are two wolves inside of me. And there was one, and it's funny, I was talking all to you guys all about this before the show. I was talking about to Brett. Brett, I hate when guys look at gorgeous women and say meh. It drives me insane.
They're still doing it all the time.
Drives me insane. It's so unbecoming. Like, do not do that. But also, this thing is like, no, you're just jealous. No, you're just mid or below.
Yeah.
Okay? So, like, if we're going to confront reality, if you're going to give me a reality check, let's talk about reality.
Yeah.
Okay? The reason why people are up in... Oh, my God. I'm so happy I'm talking about this. The reason why I wanted to talk about this on the show. The reason why people are up in arms about you, it's not because, like, you're not a good person. I'm sure that, you know, there's lovely and beautiful things about you. And it's because words mean things and ceremonies should mean things.
Yeah.
And we've taken a ceremony that was supposedly to lift up physical beauty and to the extreme, and we've made a mockery out of it for social points, and there is nowhere to cash that shit out anymore. There is no goodwill to cash that shit. We could have done it once. We do it every single time anymore, and it's, you know, it's okay to be beautiful.
I also find that, like, what's hilarious is they've overcomplicated something that's actually quite simplistic. So I was looking, like, when you look at this video here, like, of her, like, at the show, she just looks happy.
Yes.
And unbothered by all of the social issues that seem to surround the things that people are pissed off about around her, meaning her beauty, her femininity, the fact that she is a woman in an industry that's very, very big on pushing women's liberation and women's issues to push back against the patriarchy, right? So when this person asked this question, again, what he said in the tweet was, he said, conservatives keep trying to change the game here, okay? Libs never said women can't show cleavage. We are the people who are supportive of women owning their sexuality, okay? We invented that. I just said, for the fun of it, I just decided to look up the topic, male gaze, to see when the most recent article was written about this topic, because that's what they're talking about, right? They're talking about a woman's sexuality being put on the display for the benefit of men. Well, the most recent article was an hour ago from Medium, challenging the patriarchy, the power of the male gaze. Then you have a couple weeks ago, the male gaze is more inescapable than you think. They are not the people that have bolstered and raised up women's sexuality. They only do that on a per case basis when they find it beneficial to them. But Hollywood still understands that when it comes down to it, sexuality sells.
Yeah, liberals weaponize beauty to shame me.
Yes.
Like, that's what they do. Not me in particular. I cannot be shamed about that.
This article was written by the Daily Beast today. SNL has over the weekend. SNL has a lazy habit of objectifying hot hosts. Oh, good Lord. It's the end of the world.
Right. Wait, what you just said was really deep. Can you say that again?
I don't know what I said.
You said that they're trying to shame you for liking beauty.
Yeah. They're weaponizing beautiful women to shame me for acknowledging it, and I will not be shamed by that. By the way, for me, it's very, very, very cultural, and this is one of the things about Hispanic culture that I like. Hispanic men talk up their boys and their girls. Like, when a guy gets a haircut, I'm like, hey man, looking good, blah blah blah. And with their girls, it's like, oh, new dress, that color looks great on you, yada yada. And we. In a lot of friend circles, there was a girl who was beautiful and was cool, and often the joke would be, you know, it would be a back and forth. It would be respectful, but like the joke would be like, you know, you're so pretty. Like, when are you and me gonna like hit it off? And they like turn you down, and that's the funny part. And you weren't seriously. Oh, birth control. And you weren't seriously making an advance at her. You were just like, oh, you're beautiful, and this is what I would do because I'm a man. And she would be like, well, I'm beautiful, thus I can deny you. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, want to get tacos? And I always liked that.
Yeah.
I always liked that because in a way it was a compliment. It was just meant as a compliment, but you know. It was hidden in good old-fashioned boys being boys.
Yeah.
Which is good. Which is good.
Should not be shamed.
Should not be shamed. There's so many things about men that are misunderstood. And one is that, and the other one is like when men roast each other. And I think it's so rare to see a good male-to-male friendship and a good male to female. I feel like art has completely lost the idea of how men relate to people. Like, because men are always like the enemies, that they're not even humanizing us, and
not even like enemies. Like, it's the idea that when you watch a movie or a television show and the men are having like a deep and meaningful conversation, I'm like, that wouldn't happen that way. Maybe in the most extreme of circumstances, but they don't really capture the way in which men interact with each other.
And and this might be very controversial, but you know who talks about male friendships in a beautiful way? Andrew Tate.
Really?
Yes. Because Andrew Tate talks about his friends. He talks about him in such an interesting way. It's funny because he's very braggadocious. He's like, I'm top G, like I'm the king. But he says something that's very interesting. He's like, he uses the chess metaphor, like he's the king, and he's got his knights. But if you play chess, like knights are a more useful piece.
Yeah.
Like they move about the board more. They move about the board in a more useful way. And ultimately, they have to protect the king.
Yeah. The
king is technically he doesn't. I'm psychoanalyzing him.
Yeah.
Like the king is like the weakest pair, and in the board, and so the strengths of your friendships is so key. And when he talks always about like lifting his brother and lifting his friends to like a degree of like I see you as a knight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful.
Probably why like buddy cop films and those types of things always did so well, as a way of like capturing like a relation, like, you know, a friendship between two people who happen to go through some type of extraordinary situation together. Again, that would work for men the way that romantic comedies should work for women. Right? Is that it's the idea of actually nailing what the aura is around that relationship. I think the number one thing when you look at all this stuff, what it is, it's a decision to sanitize the art for ideological reasons. And I think a lot of times, one of the most damaging like meme templates I always think is like when somebody says, this group, like me, also me, them, also them, which is failing to point out that like just because one person says one thing that you identify as fitting into this group or this ideological preset does not mean that that same person would hold the same belief. Oftentimes they do, that they would hold the same belief for everything all encompassing, right? Now, I do believe that for a lot of these people that would shame Sydney Sweeney for dressing a certain way or going about her life a certain way on Saturday Night Live, I do believe a lot of them would also be more than happy to support someone like Lizzo if she were to do it, because it's ideologically expedient for them to do so, right?
Dude, Sam Smith at the VMAs or whatever.
Yeah.
Remember he was like dressed up like half naked as the devil?
And what we were saying, they want me to be like, wow, Sam Smith. Like, that was so feminine.
Yeah.
I'm taken aback by the fact that despite the fact that you're a fat, disgusting male, like, I'm taken aback by your femininity. No. No.
It is a desire to change like public perception and actually change the course of how we perceive things.
And to bastardize my perception as well.
Yeah.
Because look what they're doing. They're like, oh, that's disgusting. You like all you're thinking about is like the nasty with her. I'm a married man and I only think about the nasty with my wife.
This also comes up
I just think she's beautiful
a lot too when it comes to video game character design.
Right.
Like the way female characters are designed in video games. It's like there is a concerted effort to make them less attractive than how they were created in the past.
Which makes no sense because usually a video game character does feats of athleticism. And when you do feats of athleticism, you have a certain type of body composition. And so it's just accurate to the medium.
Can I just say, it's not the men that are getting up in arms and complaining about this, right? I'm assuming it's women, right? And as a woman, obviously I notice like what she's wearing, I notice her assets, and I go, wow, like that she is beautiful, she is blessed. Anyone who's saying that she needs to cover up, clearly, again, going back to this, it's out of jealousy. So it's all these jealous women, in my opinion. I mean, otherwise, like I can't understand why you would be upset about
religious
that as a woman.
people.
No, I think it's her demeanor. I think it's the fact that she's not doing. It's kind of like when women say like they go out in a low cut dress and they yell at men for looking. she's not yelling at you for looking. So if she was going out and then shaming men for looking at her the way she's dressed, these women, these people would be all on board for this. Yeah. But because she is unapologetically okay with flaunting her sexuality, they suddenly have a problem with it, because it's the same thing happens in comics, in movies, and television. Look, it's okay if it's not created by men or for men. You can do the exact same thing as long as the target audience has nothing to do with straight men. Okay, that's the long and short of it. It really is in a lot of ways that simple, because as long as it doesn't fit into that demographic, they're completely okay with it. She is not discriminating against. She's like, you want to look? Look. It's part of a. It's part of what there was a skit in the whole thing in the Saturday Night Live episode where she plays a Hooters girl and the other girls are mad at her because like they each get like $40 in tips, and she puts like $36,000 on the table because men are just giving her money. She's like spilling on them and they're still tipping her huge amounts, and that really is kind of emblematic. Maybe not of women in not all women, but of the ideological left that seems to be wanting to shame her for suddenly being so willing to dress this way.
Also, she's naked on the internet.
Yes,
you can see her naked. Should you so desire, she's naked on the internet. On the show.
Yes.
Yeah, like she's topless, I guess.
Yep.
Well, it's messed up that they're shaming her. Like, if she was born differently, she'd be allowed to wear something else.
No, but what I mean,
like those are real. It's not like she got breast implants.
But what I mean is, when she was naked on the show, she was being demeaned.
Yep.
And it's like a form. They're like, this is art. She like the pretty girls being demeaned and sexually exploited, and like this is like how we're okay with you engaging over this.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, it's her. I mean, maybe like she probably has a stylist or whatever, but it's more modest than being fully naked.
Yeah.
And it's her kind of being like, hey, got a nice pair. You know what I mean?
I've been dealing with this my whole life. Like, it's like she's probably.
She did have.
It's not like this is new to her.
She did have a clip. Like she did have like a quote that went viral a little bit ago, where she said like when I was young, other girls would make fun of me for having big boobs. I'm like, they're big, you complain. They're small, you complain. What am I supposed to do? Right? What am I supposed to do? Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.